I'm Tyler King alongside Evan Cook, getting you set for Game 1 of this best-of-5 opening round playoff series between the Fort McMurray Oil Barons and the Sherwood Park Crusaders. Evan, as we see two teams that have split a regular season series, no question it's been a bit of a homer contest between these two clubs, with the Barons going 3-0 at the Casman Center and Sherwood Park going 3-0 at the Sherwood Park Arena.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how this season series has gone between the two teams. Like you mentioned, for whatever reason, the Crusaders just owned the Barons on home ice this year, but then when they came up to the Casman Center, it was, the tables were flipped, and Fort McMurray came away with 3 wins. So obviously, if you just take that at face value, you can come to the assumption that the home ice advantage will favor the Barons in this series, but it's not usually that simple in the playoffs.
No, and it's going to take some big performances from some big-time players. And if we were to focus in on one for the Oil Barons, Evan, it's probably got to start with their captain, Jetlin Houcher. I don't just say that because he's the only Baron who's actually scored a goal in Sherwood Park this year, but leading the entire league in goals with 39. If they're going to break through offensively against a Sherwood Park team that's shown it can be pretty tight at the back end when it needs to be, they're going to need number 17 to really gel with whatever line mates he ends up with in these first couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound cliche to say that you need your big players to make big plays, but, especially going into this first round series here for the Barons, where lack of scoring has hurt them, in the last couple months leading up to the playoffs. Yeah, they're really going to need Houcher to step up. Like you said, he's been the offensive leader for the team this year. He's got the most success against Sherwood Park on the Barons side of things when you look at the season series. So Barons going to need a big series from their captain.
But it's going to mean a big series for Sherwood Park. Their captain as well in defenseman Dane Phaneuf, the former PEI Rocket of the QMJHL, who's really carved himself out as one of this league's premier defensemen. But it doesn't start and stop with him, of course, Evan. If you look on the forward side, a guy like Arthur Gordon, who led a fairly low-scoring Sherwood Park team in points. I mean, he's one of few 1994-born veterans on this team, one of the only actual forward who's born in 1994 on this team. It extends as well down to some of their younger forwards, and a number 2 scorer like Ryan Kruper, a guy who remembers the last time these two teams played in the playoffs as a rookie. Kruper was in that 5-game series. The Barons won 4-1. All 3 of those guys are going to be hoping for a much longer series, or in their case, perhaps a shorter one if they can get a couple of wins here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Phaneuf's a guy that the Barons know quite well. Obviously, the captain of the team, like you said, good puck-moving defenseman who can contribute on the offensive side of things, but, you're not also going to catch him out of position a lot on the back end. And the 2 players that you mentioned, Gordon and Kruper, both have had offensive success against Fort McMurray so far this season. Gordon has really led that team offensively, and yeah, that's exactly it. The Barons defense, which we talked about, has played well at times over the stretch here. They're going to have to focus in on those 2 guys, especially if they want to shut down this Crusaders offense.
It'll be tough, as the Crusaders did break through for 5 goals against the Barons the last time these two teams met. But speaking of 5, it's a best-of-5 series, Evan, and to me, that really diminishes your home ice advantage, because you're in a situation as Fort McMurray where, yes, I mean, you're 3-0 against this team at home, but tough to win 6 consecutive games at home against any team, Sherwood Park or even someone like Grand Prairie, not to put too fine a point on it. But then what if it doesn't work out that way? What if a bounce doesn't go your way, and all of a sudden you've split the first 2 home games? Now all of a sudden you must win in Sherwood Park. If you can't get at least one of those 2, your season comes to an end. We saw teams last year rebound from 3-1 deficits against the Oil Barons, because that's something you can do in a best-of-7. Best-of-5, you really don't have much luxury or much room for error.
Yeah, and like we talked about off the top here, with both teams winning 3 games in their own barn this season, the big first break we're going to see in this series is the first team, if it happens, that's able to win a game on the road. Of course, the Crusaders are going to get that opportunity first with the first 2 games up here at the Casman Center. So if we see a split through the first 2 games, if we see Sherwood Park pick up a couple of wins, it's just going to up that pressure even more, on this Barons team going back down to Sherwood Park, knowing that losing both those games is not an option if they want to keep their series alive.
Should be a tight and exciting playoff round, and it all starts with our Game 1 puck drop coming up on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock.